Correct.
year to do it.
I wanted more people. I didn't get them. But, yeah, it's the existing staff that we will be assigning some staff that will be dedicated to the tweets that come in.
In a perfect world, candidly, it becomes overwhelmingly difficult to get back to all of them, which means this was a huge success. Success has consequences, in this case, good and bad. The burden is on us then to find the resources to make sure we bolster it up. But that's a good kind of problem to have. And so I'm hopeful that she can't do it within her limited budget, because it means people are really taking advantage of this new technology and the new strategy.
Include next best info.
Yeah, what's...
We do plan on pushing out information if we do get information from Muni as far as rescheduled type of events. If there's a closed street and there's a Muni reroute, we'll push out messages that way, but next Muni, you can go to our website to get next Muni.
You won't be able to do that by Twitter, right?
No, not via Twitter, but you can already get it through SMS. You can program it to your phone.
But I think the answer, in part to your question, is that we're not going to stop with just 311. This is a pilot, and we're starting with 311, but we certainly expect to take this with a little bit of experience, take it to other departments, and it could be that we'll do that with MTA, or we could do it with the Youth Commission. I mean, there are a number of really good examples that we will be working with to build out in the future.
Any other questions, guys, on this topic? Yeah. Well, great. Perfect. Well, thank you all very much. And I'll answer your questions on somehow, Bo, let everybody go. So appreciate it. Thanks, Miss.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. It's fun. It's great. And it should be, we all know the outcome of the vote. They'll support putting this on the ballot. And we expect that to go forward in an election next year.
Yeah, you made some comments in the reported in the paper, kind of trying to let folks in the Senate. It's not necessarily the best thing to do.
No, good people can disagree. I'm the mayor of San Francisco, and I don't want to see the San Francisco 49ers, a city that was founded in 1849 by the 49ers themselves, we're a 49 square mile city, take a team and take our name with it to another city. I mean, that's self-evident. I think it goes without saying. So I've fought to keep them. We actually have already gotten our voters to approve a stadium plan. We did that a year ago. People seem to forget that. We already had our city council approve a deal on a 9-2 vote last year. People seem to forget that. And we already initiated the environmental work a year ago, which will be done very soon, which also people seem to forget. So we've made an enormous amount of progress. The difference between Santa Clara and San Francisco is the 49ers want to leave San Francisco. They want to turn their back on the city. And that's clear. And that's their right and prerogative. It's our right, though, to fight to keep them. But I'm not going to sell my soul. I'm not going to sell the soul of the city and its treasury to subsidize 10 games a year. I don't think that's good public policy. And I think that the football stadium comes at a huge price, and I think it's a long way between you vote tonight in Santa Clara, the voters approving it, and then putting a deal together. Even if the voters approve it, remember, San Francisco, the voters approved the deal. I know how difficult it is to ultimately get to the finish line. And so when people say it's 4th and 1, I'm not sure it's 4th and 1 at the goal line or which goal line. It's 4th and 1. This is a long way away in this process, and so we'll see what happens. But 49ers clearly want to leave San Francisco. And that's self-evident, and they're doing everything in their power to put a deal together and convince the voters of Santa Clara that they should help subsidize the team and not use that money for other economic development purposes, which arguably would have a greater impact in terms of return on investment than a team that is 40 minutes away in a city where I hope most people want to visit anyway.
Is suing over the name like the...
Well, we can do all of that. Other cities have. I've always been surprised that Santa Clara voters want to subsidize a team that won't even give it their name. I went to Santa Clara University. I love Santa Clara. It's not a critique. I really do. I just am surprised. Imagine if San Jose Sharks moved to San Francisco and I said, hey, we'll put up $70+ million redevelopment money that would go for economic development and opportunity. And there's one catch. San Jose wants to keep their name, San Jose Sharks. I don't think I'd get away with that. People say, well, if they were San Francisco Sharks, maybe we'd keep them. I'm not being literal in this example, and by the way, we're not trying to take the Sharks. So, it's interesting to me that the voters will be willing to do that. But if they are, they have every right to. And all I'm saying is even after they do that, we did that a year ago, doesn't mean there's a deal with this ownership. And I think a lot of things can change in the next year and a half, 2 years. And remember this, the 49ers, and again, a 49 square mile city that they started in and founded in 1849 by the 49ers, the gold rush. They've been very successful because the support they received in our city and the benevolence of the people of the city that supported them and made the brand and this franchise what it is today. And so we have every right to be disappointed that they're turning their back and trying to leave our city. And we have every right to try to fight to keep them. But again, I won't do it by making mistakes where I hurt poor people. Because the trade-off is obvious. In a decline of budget, when you can use, I'm using redevelopment money this year to create jobs and real opportunity. It comes at a price. I mean, people should know that it comes at a price. That money can't be used for other things. And if you think it's worth 10 games a year, and you actually believe the deal will ultimately be the final deal, which few times in NFL history that's ever been the case, then you have the right to vote for it. But we have a right to fight on the grounds of principle, ethical framework of, hey, you made a lot of promises to San Francisco and props D and F. You didn't fulfill them, and you made promises in between. I know you got a lousy stadium. All of us agree it's in terrible disrepair, but you're going to be forced to be here for the next 6, 7 years. And, we thought we were going to tear this thing down, and if we were working together, we'd be tearing it down a lot sooner than we would if we were down in Santa Clara. But, again, they have every right to do this, and they have every right to fight for us. Well, we have an obligation, a legal obligation, and we'll meet it. The 49ers want more money than the entire general fund of the Recreation and Parks Department this year to fix the stadium. At the same time, they're turning our backs and trying to go to another city. I mean, think about it from our perspective. They're asking for $60+ million this year of city's general fund to fix up a stadium that they want to leave, that has to be torn down. At the same time, they're making a case for Santa Clara. It's you can imagine from our perspective, their average taxpayer's perspective, they may say, wait a second, why would we give them $60 million that would devastate our entire recreation and park system, would shut it down? Again, the general fund's only $40 million, so that they can continue to work to leave our city.
To do that?
We'll do what we legally are responsible to do.
And no more?
We will do what we're legally responsible to do. And we'll do what we can to keep the 49ers because I care deeply about keeping them, but I won't do it at any cost. And I won't do it subsidizing very wealthy people when we should be providing services to very poor people.
Mayor, what are the ramifications in terms of development?
Well, this is my biggest fear. If the 49ers want to leave, they have a right to leave, but the problem is I need them to leave in order to do the redevelopment. And I'm not convinced that even if they have a deal in Santa Clara that they're going to go. And so you have years of stasis where nothing can get done in terms of redeveloping lives in the southeast sector and Bayview Hunters Point. And so my biggest concern is that we're in this no man's land. Even if the voters approve it in Santa Clara, they still have to put together a huge deal. And I don't know how they're going to do that. And we can't move forward with a new redevelopment. And so it's an awkward situation. It is what it is. But again, I put it in perspective. I'm trying to make sure that public housing has heating. I'm not kidding. That has adequate heating this year. I'm less worried about billionaires getting a new stadium outside the city than I am someone being able to turn on the heat and get through the winter. And seriously, I think people can see that as almost patronizing statement. It's a literal trade-off. I mean, these things there's real dollars, and that's why I'll fight $61+ million ask to rebuild the stadium on a site where they're going to tear it down in a few years, because I can't take that money away from folks that need that money.
Why can't you build around the stadium site? I mean, why would it put the project
It's
on
right in
hold?
the middle of our phase of. It's one of the first phase part of the redevelopment of the site. We can, but you can't. It's just not that easy. I mean, if I could really bore you and show you the map and show you how big the space is with the parking lots and how we'd phase this in and how the traffic zone and the rest all work together, it makes it very difficult. It slows down some of it.
Will the whole thing be on hold until you get your
No,
answer?
we're working, as we speak, we're literally, in fact, I met with Michael